Have you ever wondered why big celebrity endorsements sometimes just completely flop?
Oh, all the time. It's almost embarrassing to watch sometimes.
Right. But then a post from some random super niche account you follow makes you buy a product almost instantly.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I mean, think about it. You're scrolling through your feed and you see this massive pop star. They have like 100 million followers, and they're holding up a bottle of some brightly colored new sports drink.
And you just scroll right past it.
Exactly. You scroll right past because it feels completely manufactured.
Right.
I mean, they probably don't even drink it.
Right, they're just holding a prop.
But then, maybe 10 minutes later, you're looking at a post from a home barista. And this account only has about, I don't know, 12,000 followers.
A tiny fraction of the pop star.
Tiny fraction. And this barista is enthusiastically raving about this highly specific type of ceramic coffee dripper.
Oh, yeah. The really nerdy stuff.
Exactly. They're talking about the heat retention, the flow rate, the way it perfectly extracts a light roast. And before you even realize what you're doing, you have your credit card out and you are buying it.
You're completely sold.
Yep. That phenomenon, that sudden shift from passive scrolling to active trust in purchasing, that is exactly what we are going to explore today. Our mission for this deep dive is to teach you how to cut through the absolute deafening noise of social media.
Which is getting louder every single day.
So loud, we want to help you find those highly engaged, highly valuable voices, the ones known in the industry as micro-influencers. Okay, let's unpack this.
It is arguably the most critical shift happening in the digital landscape right now.
Really, the most critical.
I'd say so, yeah. Because for a very long time, the prevailing wisdom in outreach, whether you were a creator trying to collaborate or a small business trying to sell something, was basically just to shout as loudly as possible.
Just cast the widest net.
Exactly. To as many people as possible. Raw reach was the ultimate prize. But the reality we're seeing today is that raw reach is rapidly becoming significantly less important than actual concentrated attention.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. So in today's deep dive, our goal is to save you an immense amount of time, a lot of wasted money, and frankly, a great deal of frustration when you're trying to reach a real, breathing audience on X.
Because finding these micro-influencers, it isn't as simple as just typing a word into a search bar.
Oh, definitely not. But when you do figure out how to locate them, the return on your investment, both in terms of your actual capital and genuine human connection, it's massive.
And to figure this out, we are pulling insights from a brand new, highly practical guide. This was actually just published on June 30th, 2026 by Circleboom.
Right, and they are an official X Enterprise developer, which is a very important detail we'll get to in a minute.
Right. And before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of exactly how this guide tells us to find these elusive accounts, I want to make sure we know what we are actually hunting for.
Good call. We need to define the target.
Yeah, we need to understand what makes a micro-influencer different from just, well, a normal person on the internet. According to the source material, a micro-influencer sits in a very specific follower band.
A sweet spot, basically.
Right. We are usually talking about an account with anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 followers. Now, the guide does note that some people will stretch that definition a bit.
Yeah, they might drop the floor down to 1,000 followers.
Which is sometimes called the nano tier.
Yeah. Exactly. Or they might raise the ceiling up to 100,000.
But the defining trait here isn't actually the raw number of followers.
No, not at all.
It's the ratio. It is the ratio of actual human attention to the overall size of the audience.
That is the crucial distinction because, we have been so heavily conditioned by social media platforms to look at the follower count as the sole absolute indicator of worth or influence.
Big number equals important.
Exactly. We see a big number, we assume importance. But a 12,000 follower niche account very often drives significantly more genuine replies, more bookmarks, and more actual link clicks per post than a 400,000 follower generalist account.
It's crazy when you look at the actual data.
It really is, because it is entirely about the density of the engagement. The audience for the smaller account is highly concentrated, the topic they're discussing is incredibly consistent, and crucially, the creator behind the account is still reachable.
Like they actually respond to comments.
Yes, they're in the trenches with their community.
I like to think about it like this. Let's stick with that coffee dripper from earlier. Imagine you invented an incredibly cool, innovative new product for brewing coffee.
Oh, okay. I'm with you.
Handing that to a mega celebrity account is basically like handing a megaphone to someone standing in the middle of a crowded, incredibly loud sports stadium.
Right. It's pure chaos.
Sure, they are technically shouting your message out to 80,000 people at once. But most of those people are there to watch a football game.
They're eating hot dogs, they're yelling at the ref.
They're looking at their phones. Maybe 10 people out of that entire stadium even care about specialty coffee in the first place.
And of those 10, maybe 2 actually heard the announcement over the roar of the crowd.
Exactly.
Eh.
It's a massive audience, but the context is completely wrong.
That is a perfect visualization of raw reach versus topical relevance.
But a micro-influencer, that is like hosting a highly engaging, specialized dinner party. You have a table of maybe 20 people.
A much smaller room.
Yeah, but every single person sitting at that table is a massive, unapologetic coffee enthusiast.
I live for this stuff.
Right. So when you bring out that new ceramic dripper and set it on the center of the table, the entire room goes quiet. Everyone leans in.
They want to pick it up, examine the ridges.
They want to ask you hyper-specific questions about how it compares to what they already use. Everyone is actually listening. You aren't shouting at a stadium. You are conversing with a community.
What's fascinating here is how the source material phrases this dynamic. The guide points out that micro-influencers allow for, and I quote, real conversations rather than a media kit transaction.
Oh, I love that phrasing. Media kit transaction.
It's totally sterile, right? A media kit transaction is just a brand paying a large account, a flat fee, for a guaranteed number of eyeballs.
With zero guarantee that those eyeballs actually care about the product.
Exactly. But a real conversation builds trust. Trust is the actual currency of commerce now, and trust is built at the dinner table, not over the stadium loudspeaker.
Okay, but hold on a second. I need to push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
I get the whole intimate dinner party vibe, and it sounds lovely. But let's say I am trying to launch a real business here. I have to sell 10,000 of these coffee drippers this month just to keep my factory running.
Right, you need volume.
Yeah, a dinner party of 20 people, even if they all buy one, is not going to move the needle. Doesn't raw reach have to matter at some point? Why wouldn't I still want the stadium?
It is a totally fair question, and it is the exact reason so many people hesitate to shift away from big influencers. But the strategy isn't about hosting one single dinner party.
Okay.
It is about the cumulative power of hosting 50 of them simultaneously.
Ah, I see.
Right. If you spend your entire budget on one stadium shout, you get a massive spike of irrelevant views, and then it is gone. If you take that same budget, or even a fraction of it, and partner with 20 different micro-influencers...
You're everywhere all at once.
Yes. You are suddenly the main topic of conversation at 20 different, highly targeted dinner parties all over the internet. You are saturating the exact community that actually wants to buy your product.
And the conversion rate has to be so much better.
Exponentially higher. The percentage of people who hear the message and actually take action is just night and day compared to a celebrity post.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about saturating the niche rather than, like, spraying the whole internet. But here's where my brain breaks a little bit. If these dinner parties, these niche engaged accounts with 5 to 50,000 followers are so incredibly valuable and offer such a high conversion rate, why on earth are they so hard to find?
Oh, the search problem.
Right. If I know exactly what I'm looking for, why can't I just go on to X right now, type the word coffee into the search bar, and find them?
Because the native infrastructure of the platform itself is actually working against you in this specific context.
It's actively fighting me.
Basically, yeah. This is what we call the native search trap. When you go to the native X search bar and type in a query, the platform has to instantly decide how to rank millions of potential results.
Right.
And its primary goal isn't to help you find a highly engaged micro-influencer for your niche product. Its primary goal is to keep the average user entertained with popular content. So it relies on broad algorithmic signals, and it pushes the absolute largest, most followed, and verified giants to the very top of your search results.
Because X assumes that if a normal, casual user searches for coffee, they probably want to see the official Starbucks account. Exactly.
Or they want to see a massive celebrity who just did a brand deal with a coffee chain. It caters to the most obvious answer.
Precisely. The native search is a blunt instrument designed for the masses. It is not a scalpel designed for targeted research.
That's a great way to put it.
Furthermore, the native search interface has 0 follower range filters built into it.
Wait, really? None.
None. You cannot tell the native search bar, show me accounts talking about specialty coffee, but only show me the ones who have between 10,000 and 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
That functionality simply does not exist for the public user.
Wow. So they are just buried.
Completely buried. Those highly valuable 10 to 50,000 follower niche accounts stay hidden under an absolute mountain of verified giants and off-topic noise.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Go ahead.
Let's say I don't use a generic word like coffee. What if I search a highly specific, nerdy keyword like conical burr grinder adjustment?
Okay, getting specific. Right. Couldn't I just type that in, ignore the big corporate accounts at the top, and just patiently scroll down the results? I just keep scrolling and scrolling until I finally hit the smaller accounts talking about it. Wouldn't that work eventually?
Eventually, perhaps. But let's actually think about what that experience is like in reality.
Okay.
Think about the physical workflow you are describing. You are sitting at your laptop, you do a search, and you start eyeballing profile counts one by one. You scroll past the first 50 massive accounts.
Sounds tedious already.
You finally see one that looks a bit smaller. You click on their profile. You wait for the page to load. You look at their follower count. They have 300,000 followers, still way too big.
So then you have to go back.
Yep. You hit the back button, the timeline refreshes, and you lose your place. You scroll some more, you click another profile. This one has 800 followers. It's small!
Oh, man.
You are entirely relying on visual guesswork.
Yeah.
For anyone who values their time, that is agonizingly slow, wildly inconsistent, and incredibly frustrating.
It is the definition of looking for a needle in a haystack, except the haystack keeps moving and throwing giant celebrity accounts in your face.
Exactly. And this highlights a fundamental structural data problem. Without sanctioned access to the platform's actual backend data, you are stuck doing that manual guesswork.
Which brings us back to the source material.
Yes. This is why the source material from Circleboom is so critical for this deep dive. They operate as an official X enterprise developer.
Okay, stop right there. Official X enterprise developer. That sounds very impressive, but in plain English, what does that actually mean for me?
Sure.
Like, how is that different from me just using the search bar?
Think of native search like walking into a massive public library and asking the librarian at the front desk for a book on coffee.
Okay.
They are busy, so they just hand you the most popular best-selling book they have behind the desk. But having official developer access, what's called API access, is like having the library's master database cable plugged directly into your laptop.
Oh, wow. So you bypass the front desk completely.
Completely. You aren't asking the librarian for a suggestion anymore. You are querying the raw data itself. You can filter by exact data points, cross-reference statistics, and organize information in ways the public doesn't normally get to see.
So they aren't just scraping data in some sketchy way.
No, not at all. They aren't scraping data in a sketchy, unauthorized way. They have a structured, sanctioned pipeline to the information. To actually find the microtier efficiently, you need a tool that builds the influence filter directly into the search mechanism itself.
You have to force the issue.
Right. You need to demand a structured list based on your parameters, not just accept whatever the algorithm feels like feeding you.
Okay, so knowing that the native search bar is essentially a trap, how do we actually cast our net?
Yeah.
Because we still have to find these people.
Right.
The guide talks about starting with a niche pool. So if I have this direct line to the database, I enter my specific keyword. And the tool scans not just the account names, but their bios and the actual text of their tweets, right?
Yes, that holistic scan is absolutely vital. A user might not have specialty coffee in their actual account name.
Right. Their handle might just be their name.
But their bio might say obsessed with light roasts, and their recent tweets are a deep dive into water temperature extraction times. The keyword search casts a wide but highly topical net to build your initial pool of candidates.
Right, so we get all the coffee people in the room. But how do we stop the Kardashian-level accounts from slipping into that net? If a mega celebrity tweets about coffee once, I don't want them on my list.
This is where you utilize that database access to apply a strict follower count filter. You set a definitive minimum and maximum threshold.
Okay, the parameters.
Let's say, following the guide's recommendation, we cap it at a minimum of 5,000 followers and a maximum of 50,000. Instantly, all the giant accounts, the mega celebrities, the massive corporate brands, they just drop out of the pool. Poof, gone.
Okay, but wait. This raises a huge red flag for me. If I just cast a net for keywords, and then I blindly set a filter that says, give me accounts with around 30,000 followers, couldn't I accidentally end up with a totally dead account?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what if some guy had a viral tweet 5 years ago, gained 30,000 followers in one day, and hasn't tweeted since? Or what if he just bought 30,000 bot followers to look important? If I only filter by size, I could end up with a list of ghosts. Right.
Yes. You have just hit on the single biggest trap in digital outreach.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
It is exactly why follower count alone is a remarkably weak signal. What's fascinating here is that it is purely a vanity metric.
A vanity metric. Just for show.
Just for show. If you just set the follower cap and stop there, you get those quiet, sleeper accounts. They look absolutely perfect on a spreadsheet if you only log their follower count.
But they're useless.
Right, because when you actually reach out, partner with them, or pay them for a sponsored post, they never deliver any results. No clicks, no sales, no real conversation. The audience is essentially asleep.
So how do we filter out the ghosts? Because obviously, a micro-influencer has to be someone whose audience is actually awake.
This is where we run the engagement check. The source material emphasizes that you must ensure the account has a healthy follow ratio and what the tool classifies as a high or mid engagement rate.
Let's break that down for the listener, because engagement rate gets thrown around a lot. How exactly do we know their audience is awake?
Let's start with the follow ratio. This is a very simple but incredibly revealing piece of math. Imagine you find an account that has 50,000 followers. Sounds great, right?
Sure.
But then you look closer and you see that this same account is following 60,000 people.
Oh, I know exactly what that is. That is the old follow for follow scheme.
Yep.
They just sit there all day following thousands of random accounts, hoping people will politely follow them back.
Exactly. It completely artificially inflates their follower count. An audience built on follow for follow doesn't care about the creator's content. They just clicked follow as a transaction.
They just wanted the follow back.
Right. A healthy follow ratio means the account has significantly more people following them than they are following. It proves their audience is there organically because the content is good.
That makes a lot of sense.
Beyond the ratio, a true engagement check looks at high-friction actions.
High-friction actions, meaning it takes actual effort from the user.
Yes. A passive view, as someone scrolls past a post, is a low-friction action. It means very little. But taking the time to type out a reply, saving the post to their bookmarks, or clicking a link to leave the platform,
That takes real effort.
those are high-friction actions. They require genuine interest. An account with high engagement is consistently generating those high-friction actions relative to their size.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the follower count is basically just the raw horsepower of a car. And the engagement check is the steering wheel.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Because having a huge audience with zero engagement is like having a 500 horsepower engine with no steering wheel. Sure, it looks really impressive sitting in the garage, but it is totally, completely useless if you actually want to go somewhere and drive a result.
That is a phenomenal analogy, yes. Without the steering wheel of engagement, all that raw horsepower is just vanity. The engagement check is what verifies that the audience is actually awake, paying attention, and interacting with the host of the dinner party.
Okay, so we've navigated the native search trap, we've cast our net using API access, we've filtered out the giants by capping the follower count, and we've ruthlessly eliminated the ghosts by checking their engagement and their follow ratios.
The list is getting clean.
Exactly. We now have a group of surviving accounts that perfectly fit the true definition of a micro-influencer. So what does this all mean? What do you actually do with this information so it doesn't just become another overwhelming project?
This is where we move from data gathering to actionable strategy. The final section of the guide focuses on building a shortlist you can actually use.
Because the data alone isn't enough.
Right. Having this pristine data is completely useless if it just lives in your head, or worse, spread across 50 different open browser tabs on your laptop.
Oh, I can literally feel the stress of that.
Yeah.
You've got 50 tabs open, your laptop fan is screaming, and you are trying to remember, wait, was user coffee fan 99 the one with the really good engagement ratio, or was that Barista Bob?
It's impossible to track.
You end up relying on your own frazzled memory, which is a terrible way to manage anything.
Exactly. The guide says the immediate next step is to export those filtered results. You can pull them into a clean CSV spreadsheet, or you can add them directly to a private Twitter list.
Oh, that's smart.
We are officially saying goodbye to open tab anxiety and moving toward clean, side-by-side data comparisons. Once you have that structured data lined up, you can look at these candidates objectively.
And once they're on the spreadsheet, the guide suggests we segment them, right? Like putting them into different buckets based on how good of a fit they are.
Yes. You create an outreach group for the absolute perfect fits, the people you know you want to talk to today.
The A-list.
Right. Then you create a monitor group for accounts that look really promising on paper, but maybe you want to watch their content for a few more weeks just to make sure their overall vibe matches what you are trying to do.
Keep an eye on them.
And finally, you create an exclude group for accounts that technically fit the data parameters, but when you look at their actual posts, it's just not the right personality for you.
And there's another really powerful tool mentioned here that I think completely changes the game, the location filter.
Oh, yes. Crucial.
Because let's say you are a small business that only ships your coffee drippers within the United Kingdom. Finding a brilliant, highly engaged, absolutely perfect micro-influencer who happens to live in Australia does you absolutely no good.
It's a complete waste of effort.
Right. The context is great, but the geography makes your offer totally irrelevant to their audience. By layering a location filter onto your search, you ensure that the concentrated attention you are trying to capture actually sits in a market where they can buy your product.
That geographical relevance is just as important as the topical relevance. And speaking of keeping things relevant, there is a crucial technical detail mentioned in the guide that listeners really need to be aware of.
What's that?
When you are using these tools to build your shortlist or export your spreadsheet, you do not have to actually follow the account on X to shortlist them.
Okay, that is a huge relief.
It really is. It keeps your own account's following graph completely clean while you are in the evaluation phase.
So you aren't messing up your own feed.
Exactly. You aren't muddying your own algorithmic feed or awkwardly signaling your intent to a creator before you are actually ready to reach out. You can observe and evaluate quietly.
That's a great feature.
And finally, the guide offers a really brilliant method for validating your news shortlist. They suggest checking it against known favorites in your specific industry.
Wait, how does that work? Like a sanity check.
Exactly like a sanity check.
Right.
If you run your parameters and you generate your final list, and you notice that the 3 or 4 micro-influencers you already know, love, and follow are completely missing from your results.
Then you know you did something wrong.
Right. It tells you something is wrong with your setup. Your follower band might be slightly too tight, or your initial keyword might be slightly off. You use the known entities to make sure the machine is working before you trust it to find the unknown entities.
It's like calibrating an instrument before you start the real experiment. I love that.
It's very practical.
When you structure your search this way, defining that specific follower band first, leading with a highly relevant niche keyword, and most importantly, sorting the final results by engagement rather than just size, you suddenly know exactly who you want to talk to.
And you know exactly why you are targeting them.
Right. You know what their audience actually cares about. It completely removes the visual bias and the sheer exhausting guesswork from trying to build a network online.
What's fascinating here is how it takes what used to feel like this overwhelming, mystical art form of going viral, and it turns it into a clear, methodical science of building relationships.
All right, let's bring this all together for you. We have covered a massive amount of ground today, but the core takeaways to implement are incredibly clear. First, you have to completely redefine what an influencer is in your own mind.
Absolutely essential.
Micro-influencers are not defined merely by having a smaller number of followers. They are defined by having an incredibly high attention-to-size ratio. They are the ones hosting the dinner parties, not the stadium events.
Well said.
Second, you have to accept that the native X search bar is fundamentally not built to help you find these people. It will actively hide them from you in favor of verified giants, which is why API access is so critical.
The native trap is real.
And third, spotting the real ones requires a dedicated workflow. You must cap the follower counts to filter out the noise, and you must ruthlessly check their follow ratios and engagement rates so you don't end up partnering with a dormant account that has a big fake number pasted on the front of it.
Remember, horsepower is useless without a steering wheel.
Exactly. Horsepower without the steering wheel gets you nowhere.
And if we step back and look at the broader implications of everything we have discussed today, it leaves us with a rather profound consideration for anyone spending time online.
Yeah.
We are currently watching a fundamental structural shift in how human attention is valued. If a 12,000 follower account can dramatically outperform a 400,000 follower account simply by fostering genuine niche interactions instead of relying on sterile transactions, what happens to our entire cultural definition of celebrity?
Oh, wow. That's a huge question.
Right. We have spent decades assuming that the biggest megaphone always wins. But as brands, creators, and individuals alike realize that quiet, hyper-focused attention is actually the most valuable currency on the internet, we might be looking at a completely different landscape tomorrow.
A total paradigm shift.
Exactly. The future of influence, it seems, might not belong to the loudest voices in the room. It might just belong to the ones who actually listen back. Think about that next time you are scrolling through your feed.